Find your mouthpiece and put on your jock straps. It's the Sports Blitz with Doug and Robbie.
Okay, how long is your show?
You guys have such a great setup.
Hey, listen, if you're under a rock or if you're in a cave, come on out and listen to our episode.
It was fun talking baseball. I love talking Red Sox. I love talking coaching.
I don't care because I would rather there not be an MLB season than have to sit and watch the colossal embarrassment.
Hey, hello, I am Bloom. Yeah, it's Doug and Robbie from the Sports Blitz. I just wanted to find out whether you need some pitching.
There you go. In 5, 4, 3. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the 100th episode of the Sports Blitz. Yes, we have made it to episode number 100, folks. It is unbelievable that we've gotten this far, but here we are as always. I'm Robbie, joined for the 100th time by Doug. Doug, how are you tonight, man?
Doing very well, Robbie. At our 100th episode, I kind of feel 100 too. I don't know. I'm feeling good. We're very excited about the show. What?
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Doug, for that.
No, feeling good, Robbie. Feeling good. I'm very excited about the show.
Great. And before I introduce the show and introduce our very special guest, because when you have a special episode, you got to have a very, very special guest. See, I did multiple varies there. But before I get into that, Doug, we've had the privilege of having a sponsor for many episodes now. They've been with us for a while, and it's only fitting that we kick off the 100th episode by giving some love and a shout out to our good old sponsor. So, Doug, why don't you tell us about, for another time, our sponsor?
I will. And the Sports Blitz is sponsored by the last 99 plus one episodes. Well, at least for a while anyway. It's been all the episodes, but most of them, probably the last, 50. I don't know what it is. But anyway, it is Zimon Organizing. Feeling overwhelmed with a room, cabinet, or drawer that needs to be organized? We have a great person that can organize this for you. Contact Zimon Organizing. They work with you to create and organize a space that is serene. That means what it sounds good. Serene and a joy to spend time with. Just remember, Zimon Organizing, creating a stress-free home.
Link in the description, folks.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And thank you so much to Zimon Organizing for your continued sponsorship of the show and just being there for us. We very much appreciate it and can't wait for Zimon Organizing to be with us in the future. Maybe for the next 100 episodes, hopefully, if we get that far. But anyway, like I said, it is a very special episode tonight. And for a special episode, you need a special guest. Now, the special guest is probably not a surprise, since literally you have been seeing him up here in the corner as we've been introducing the show here. Hey, listen, he is
slowly disappearing.
He is the undisputed most persistent guest of the Sports Blitz. He is the undisputed biggest fan friend, just larger than life commodity of Sports Blitz guest / fandom. Our buddy Kyle is back. Kyle, how are you tonight, buddy? Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on this 100th episode. It's so good to have you.
No, thank you guys for inviting me. This is such an honor. You guys have had this show going strong for this amount of time, and you guys deserve all the credit. This is such a great show. I always get really excited when you guys invite me on, so I'm pumped. Here we go.
and Kyle, I will say, Kyle has been such a big help to us here at the Sports Blitz with his masterful editing skills of video.
Undisputed heavyweight
editor of the
champion.
world. Literally a little behind the scenes for you folks. The intro and the outro that you see at the beginning and end of these lovely episodes was created by the man in the box right there, Mr. Kyle. Yeah, we were, not him, definitely not me either. I can barely put together a promo. Yeah. But yeah, just so much appreciative to Kyle for all of his hard work behind the scenes, helping us out with the editing stuff that we need help with. And by the way, he did make a cameo appearance in the intro by letting us know that we have such a great setup, which is a line that will live on in Sports Blitz infamy. So thank you for that as well. And by the way, before we get into the crux of tonight's episode, I do have to give these two gentlemen with me tonight a big shout out, because as many of you know, if you've been following along with the show, is that these two have their own show that they have been pounding away on with episodes over the recent months, and that is Marvel at the Movies. It has been a tremendous spin-off of the Sports Blitz and of On a Couch Talking Sports with Kyle and I as well. Shameless plug. But yeah, Marvel at the Movies has been just a tremendous hit. I've enjoyed watching every single episode these guys have put out, and you should too. If you have not already, check them out because they've done just a great job. So kudos to you two for putting that together and making something very special to go along with the On a Couch and Sports Blitz family of shows.
Trifecta, baby.
Yeah, the circle of sports and movies.
Circle of friends. Yes, that's what it is.
Exactly, absolutely. So for tonight's 100th episode, we kind of want to again, this is a special episode, and so what we wanted to do tonight is we want to kind of take a look back at 100 episodes of the Sports Blitz and just sort of give you guys an idea of some of our favorite moments, memories, and most importantly, some of our favorite guests that we have had, because obviously we have a guest on tonight who is one of our favorites. Don't tell anybody else, especially George.
Everybody else is booked.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Plan Z.
We really tried.
Plan Z. Yeah, exactly. But no, in all seriousness, we wanted to sort of discuss, a lot of our favorite. We've had a lot of great guest moments and memories, and we wanted to sort of discuss those, like I said, with it being our 100th episode, and also sort of give Kyle a chance, since he is our special guest, to sort of talk about some of his favorite moments from the show, especially some of his favorite moments from his guest appearances on the show before, because like I said, he is the favorite and the winner definitely currently of the most appeared guest here on the Sports Blitz. For sure. So I guess I'll kind of start out because he is a special guest, and on a show like this we do like to lead things off with the special guest. I wanted to ask you, Kyle, when you think back to obviously when Doug and I started this show, and obviously saw a bunch of episodes, and especially once
1875.
Yes, feels like that at this point. But especially, since we transitioned to sort of the Zoom video format, again, you've had the ability to come on and be a guest on our show. You're actually the very first guest on the Sports Blitz. So I guess I wanted to know from you, first off, is just from when you started listening to the show, whether it be back in our sort of audio only days or now, in video format, just sort of your thoughts about the way the Sports Blitz has kind of evolved, as now here we say, like I said, in our 100th episode tonight.
So I gotta say, I'm very impressed at how you guys have been handling this show, because I'm looking back at even when you and I, Robbie, were doing On a Couch, and when Doug and I were doing Marvel at the Movies. Those shows have been very consistent in kind of like how they were set up. So, because Robbie and I had always done it either with like you and I have always done it like, either like in person, we just be on the couch talking sports and stuff like that. and we would switch to the Zoom format every now and then, but we kept it pretty consistent.
Or
Same
in a
with you.
car, or in a car.
Or in a car. Yeah, no, it's true. We would
Or
switch
at the
up.
reservoir.
Yes,
Or at the
walking
reservoir.
along the reservoir. Yep,
Yeah, right.
absolutely.
And
Or at the golf course, which is the mini golf.
Yeah.
oh yeah, those are
Different,
fun too. Yeah.
different places, and it's all good. Switch it around.
But I'm really impressed at how and the same thing, you know, when you and I, Doug, we mostly stuck with like Zoom, you know, with the Zoom format that we've been doing here. And I'm really impressed at how you guys really went from like an audio only, and you guys really made that jump. And I remember I was like, you know, talking to you guys, and I remember that when the few years ago when you guys were thinking about making the big jump from audio only to YouTube and then doing Zoom, and you guys really had a lot of adversity there. I thought, like, you guys, I loved seeing you really evolve. Like, I thought that was very impressive. That's one of my favorite aspects of the show, and just how you guys really handle all that. And it was cool. Like it was, you know, just kind of started off. It seemed like it started off as just like just an idea you and Doug had, and you just did the audio only thing, and but then you kind of really like spruced it up as it went along, and the fact that you know how you guys invite guests over too, and the stuff you guys talk about too. And I know you guys are a sports show, but you've really branched out into something more than that. So it's like it's even if you know you invite people like me who I'll you know I'll be the first to admit that I'm not nearly as sports savvy as either you guys. So
No, really, we had no idea. You know, could have fooled us.
you know,
Wait, hold on a second. Wait a second. You don't know sports. What are you doing on this show, man? Get out of here.
But the fact that you guys always made, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but the fact that you guys, you know, despite the fact my lack of sports knowledge, you guys are able to invite a lot of different kinds of guests, whether they know sports or not, and you guys really create this like incredible environment, like really great, like just like that's always been one of my favorite aspects of this, just seeing you guys evolve and just really, just like I said before, this the whole setup of the show. And like I and I also loved especially the episode where we played the trivia game. I love that, like, and I loved how you really switched it up, and it was just fun. It really kept kind of the episode going, and like I was so engaged. I was like, oh my god, trivia, because I love trivia every time when we do it. Like I remember Doug and I even, you know, took a crack at that. I think we got inspired, you know, from that. Like remember when you and I did the Marvel at the Movies trivia episode?
Yes,
so.
I got 20 questions, and I was actually I'm a Marvel fan, and I've seen most of all the movies right now, except I just finished Loki, and we'll talk about that on our next show. Just finished Loki, so I'm all done with that, and so it's one of those things where you're absolutely right, is that we have evolved into whatever guest we have on to try to make that guest feel comfortable. We want to be able to talk about what they're comfortable talking about. And a trivia was perfect. It was 20 questions on Marvel at the Movies, and I actually put together some hard questions. I found some hard questions, and Kyle did a great job. He got half of them right, which is incredible. I didn't even know like half of it. I couldn't even remember. But yeah, that's kind of how it was, and how it will continue to be. But I think that's how we. You know, Robbie and I know we've had your input too, Kyle, is to really, really try to make every single guest that comes on as comfortable as possible. And comfortable not just with the topic that they're discussing, but it's with everything. Yeah. With if they don't want to talk about sports, that's cool too. It's all good. It's all good. You talk about what you want to talk about. It's all. You know, if you have an opinion, have an opinion. It's all good for us. But that's kind of, I think, what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think the thing, it's kind of interesting, sort of hearing you talk, Kyle, you know, about the evolution of our show, and it really is true. I mean, that's sort of the one good thing about the pandemic is that it kind of allowed/forced us to kind of evolve the show into this format, because I really wonder, and I'm kind of thinking about this as you're talking, Kyle, and Doug, you as well, is like part of me wonders, what the sports splits would kind of look like had there not been a pandemic. They, like I said, kind of forced us into that more virtual recording setting, and we kind of were looking for a way to record and sort of do what we do virtually when we couldn't really get together. And we sort of found Zoom, and it kind of led us to sort of the aha moment of like, let's turn this into a video show, and let's kind of like evolve it into sort of the next level. And so I think, like I said, the fact that I mean, obviously I'm not a big fan of the fact that a pandemic sort of led to it, but at the same time it did kind of force us to evolve, but in a very positive way, because I think the show is just taken on such a much more impressive, has been taken to such a much more impressive level by adding the video component, by adding guests and all this other stuff. And it's really been a fun product to sort of watch evolve from episode 1, when we had like no, basically we were like finding songs on YouTube and playing those as our intro music, basically recording live, to like actually putting together an intro and putting together an outro, and like sort of editing and tweaking different ways, and sort of altering our segments sort of in different ways as we've gone along. And it really has been a labor of love and an evolution of just really enjoying what we're doing, but also striving to do more and to really give the audience the best podcast viewing and listening experience, for sure. So I think it's a great point, is that it's just been such a fun evolution. No, Doug, I know you kind of were chatting about it a little bit, but I did kind of want to get your sort of general take on, as you and I have gone through this first 100 episodes, just your thoughts on how this show has, sort of grown and evolved and turned into what it is as we sit here today.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy ride.
It really has. Yeah,
it's been really, really crazy.
It's been a crazy ride for literally, and again, I know we've talked about this, sitting at a BC men's basketball game, just trying to buy time during an absolute blowout by Louisville.
Horrible basketball game.
Trying to sort of take our minds off, the cards
figure out what we can talk about
on the court.
Right.
And
trying to figure out what we can talk about, and all those really good BC players are not walking through that door. So it was, one of those situations where, we were actually at one point, I think we were actually, and don't tell BC this, we were actually winning for Louisville at one point.
Yeah.
But when it goes down to
good old Rick Pitino, he was walking through that door that day.
It hasn't. It's been like from that day, and I remember that day, fairly well. From that day, for us talking about, hey, let's put something together. Let's talk about sports, man. Let's talk through something. From that day to the first few shows that we had, it has absolutely morphed into something that is, it's like step by step. It's like we were doing 2-hour shows. We were doing situations where we were talking about all sports. But we did have some specialty shows here and there, and then we started to have guests. As soon as we had Kyle on, we're like, okay, who's our next guest? Not that Kyle's bad, but we just wanted to have another guest. And it's like, oh, Kyle's our only guest for the last 100 episodes. And okay, we're good. But we'd like to have some other people on to talk about some other stuff if we can. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we love having you on, Kyle, so it's not a problem. If you were on like every episode, we could care less. And we love that. But I think what it comes down to is that from the time that we started just making audio recordings, when we got together, either at your house or one time at my house where you almost flooded my whole house. But we won't talk about that. So I will tell you that story in a minute, but it's because it's a funny story. It has to be told.
It is.
It's a funny story. It has to be told. And it actually was not actually Robbie's fault 100%. So you have to understand that. I'll tell you in a minute. So anyway, it has really morphed into something that is more of a topic show where we discuss topics. Sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's not sports, but sometimes it's sports related. But what it is anybody can go and go to Bleacher Report or go at ESPN Boston or ESPN Philadelphia or NBC Boston or NBC Philadelphia and go to those websites and look at the scores.
I love the fact of all the cities you pick Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's the most random thing ever.
First thing that came to my mind. It could be anything. Baltimore, Washington has one too.
That is the show.
It's one of those things where ESPN is all over the country, so it could be anything. I think what I'm saying is, you can go anywhere and catch a score. You can go anywhere and you can find out how the game is going.
Yeah.
That's not really what we were trying to do when we first started. What we were trying to do is it's an opinion show. It's a, hey, let's talk about this subject or subjects when we first started. And let's talk about our opinion on those subjects. What about this? What about that controversy? And I'm telling you, sports is full of them. So we didn't have a problem getting content. It was just a matter of figuring out how we can approach it and how we can do it. But our approach has gotten better as we keep doing more and more of these. And once we went to video because of the pandemic, we were like, oh, this is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Now we're on not just SoundCloud, but a different format. And we're on Facebook too, because we throw it onto Facebook too. And that's how people are actually watching it too. That they can go to YouTube, but I'm putting it on Facebook. So the people that want to look at it, they can actually see it through when I put it on there. So it's like morphing to one little format to 2 or 3 formats. Robbie puts it on Twitter too, so we're on that format also. So it's like we started like really small, and then we just started growing into this. Whoa, what's going on? As soon as we did our first video thing, I remember thinking, wow, I can't wait to see what this is going to come out and what this is going to look like, because it's going to be pretty awesome. We're actually going to be on freaking YouTube. This is pretty cool. And I know Robbie and Kyle have got 270 some odd, I think it's 270 something now with On the Couch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been just like going crazy on the Couch. So I'm watching that, and I'll tell you this, guys. You gave me a lot of really great ideas. When I watch your show, and I've watched several bits of your shows and several of your shows and most of your shows, if not all of them, I get ideas from those shows too. And
so
I've watched other shows too. I've watched other shows too. And then it's like, well, Kyle told me he made a really, really quick opening for On the Couch. And then he was like, well, that's pretty good for a little while, but let me do another one and see how creative I can get and make it new and fresh and that kind of thing. And I was like, wait a minute. Why can't we have an opening too? What's up with this? Let's get it open. Let's try to figure it out. Let's get the heavyweight champ of technical editing and see if he can help us out.
And he did. And he did. Boy, did he come through, man. He
absolutely came through, and it's just incredible what he was able to put together. And I know Kyle, you and I spent a lot of time on that thing. I think we spent a couple of weeks on it, just trying to get. I know I sent you a whole bunch of things with the little time meters on it and all this kind of stuff, and trying to get things. And I just wanted to help you out. I just wanted to, get George saying how long is your show. It's one of those things where putting together that beginning made us sound so much more, made us sound and look much more professional when it comes down to it, and more appealing. And that's what we wanted. That's all we want. Right. is to be able to look more appealing and more professional. And when it comes down to it, I think we do, because we've morphed again. And every single show that we do, I look at it and go, how can we make this show better? How can we get to a point where we're making the show better? How can we do this? Should we do that? Should we do more guests? Should we do more trivia? Should we do more Kyle? Should we do more, have Kyle on more? It's one of those, I've just noticed that the subs go up so much after Kyle is on. It's incredible. So we should have him on more often. Anyway, what it comes down to is that that's kind of where it has morphed until today, where it's just like, we just think of all the things that we've done and how we've, not just technically, but the way we do the show. We've got a sponsor now, and we've got a beginning, we've got an end. We've knocked it down right now to the fact that we're picking one topic and discussing that one topic, and it could be anything. So it's one of those things where we've really, it's just has morphed into something that's absolutely fantastic, and people should watch and subscribe and hit the bell.
Absolutely. It's a good plug. No,
I'm working on it.
No, you're absolutely right. And I feel like, it's just, I find myself going back and watching, our episodes of you and I, Doug, obviously, but the ones with the guests, have just, like I said, have just sort of transformed this into just something completely different than I think we could have even imagined when we first started the show. And I'll find myself, going back and watching our episodes with guests, because there are just so many great guest related moments on this show, even just like little quotes here and there. The one I was watching the other night, thinking ahead to this episode was, we had Jamie Rice on as our first non-Kyle guest, great guy, Babson hockey head coach, Doug's former campmate over at Rivers Day Camp. And we talked a lot about Rivers, but we also talked some Babson hockey as well. And one of the things, obviously, again, knowing me,
it morphed into talking hockey, which was incredible.
But this is not going to come as a surprise. But like, knowing me, one of the questions I asked him was about, hey, your team got to play a frozen Fenway multiple times. Like, what was that like? And to hear him sort of reminisce about how, he grew up wanting to play shortstop for the Red Sox, and, just sort of the memories of having his son with him on the bench, and his son maybe going home and relaying some maybe not so appropriate conversations that had taken place behind the bench and whatnot. And just sort of, and also even just to hear, you guys talk about Rivers and sort of reminisce about memories about that, and to even just hear, him talk about, sort of I know it was a tough thing, the way that their 2019-20 season had ended, because obviously they were supposed to play in the NCAA tournament, and then with the pandemic, shut down basically, literally days before they were supposed to play their first NCAA tournament game at home, mind you, at their home rink. And to sort of hear him like go in, like sort of go behind the scenes there and sort of talk us through sort of that time frame leading up to is pretty wow. You just don't get like that level of sort of behind the scenes stuff, reading a news clipping or even following Twitter a lot of the times and stuff like that. So to be able to sort of hear those kinds of stories, or Matt Noone, I was
just going to bring him up.
Yeah, my former hitting instructor and Babson baseball coach. Doug was just salivating at the stories that he was telling you behind the scenes with the Red Sox, and just hear him
Been
talk.
with them 19 years, man. It was.
I know
at the
it was
time.
great. It was great. I mean, it was so much fun to just again hear the things that we as fans don't necessarily get to hear from an outside point of view, and it's just been so much fun to have all these guests on. I mean, again, guests that I've sort of had connections to: Mike Riley, Matt Noonan, Kyle, obviously for both of us, Doug, your connections. I mean, Donna, Jamie Rice, boy, I'm your brother Josh. You have them written down. Yes, you do have them written down. Well, I'm trying to do them. I'm trying to do them. Because
I wanted to talk about them too, but that's okay, bro.
I'm gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna give you a chance.
All good.
You just went on a 20-minute spiel, so I'm gonna go on mine now. No, but in all seriousness, it has just been been so much fun to really, and that's why I say the pandemic was a bit of a blessing in disguise in that regard, and the fact that it allowed us this opportunity to transform into what this show is now, which is still the original Sports Blitz, in the sense that we we talk about sports related topics, we give our opinions, and we go on rants, and we have a lot of fun while doing so, but also where we can sort of share these moments with friends, with with guests, with just everybody, and we can also talk about rivers and talk about all these other things like Doug was saying before, and it's just been a great ride these first 100 episodes, and it's been so much fun to do, and I'm so glad that I get to do it with you, Doug, and Kyle, when you come on with all the other guests, and it's for one of the things that every week it's like, all right, Thursday night, time to record another Sports Blitz. Let's get going, or but yes, Doug,
I usually get the text on Sunday night or Monday saying,
yes,
what are we doing? What are we doing?
What are we doing, man? What's the show? Well,
talk about behind the scenes.
Kyle gets those texts from me too about on a couch on like Saturday and Sunday nights too. So it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, before Doug, before I sort of get to you and your sort of guests moments and stuff like that, I didn't want to sort of go back to Kyle quickly and sort of just talk. I was curious if and again, I don't know. I know. Hey, listen. I know you've watched the show, and I appreciate you watching the show. But I didn't know if you had any sort of, other than yourself, obviously, because I mean you're a great guest.
He's his favorite guest.
I didn't know if you had, seen any of our other guests, or had sort of any other, other guests that you had watched maybe an episode with them on and really enjoyed. I was just curious sort of what your take was on sort of the guest aspect of the show as we've gone along.
Well, I was really I liked your friend from when I was like watching some of the episodes. I liked your friend who was George, right?
Yes, George. Yeah. Yes.
He just had a really funny personality. He seemed like a really cool guy, so I just liked his whole vibe when he was on the show. Like he seemed like a really, like, a lot of the people that, I mean, pretty much all the people you guys invited that, like, I feel like I just want to get like a beer with, just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, you should stand and talk to George for about 5 minutes. First of all, you crack up like you wouldn't believe. Second of all, he knows like everything about everything.
Yes. And he'll be making references to things that we
from
don't like.
1937 that we have no idea what's going on.
Like, okay, George, sure. You
remember that player that played in 1952? He was unbelievable. He was a point guard for I can't remember his name, but he's a point guard for Providence or BC, one of those, and he was unbelievable. I'm like, George, who are you talking about? I mean, we have no idea. He would rattle off a name.
Not at all.
I remember Bobby Wilson. Yeah, he was that guy.
Jimmy Watt. Yeah, all these guys.
He was All-American. Like, okay. It was, we would just kind of agree with him pretty much, but he was, yeah.
Yeah, no, he was cool. I like the other guy that I really liked too was the guy that worked for the Red Sox. I forget his name. I feel bad.
Matt Noone.
Matt
Noone,
Noone.
the
It was Matt Noone,
baseball
okay.
coach.
Yeah, it was Matt
yeah,
Noone,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Easily, I think one of my favorite guests. Like he had a lot of really cool stories from when at least from like
yeah.
what I saw. Like he
Have to have him on again because I know he's got 19 years of stories and he hasn't told us all of them.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know
true.
that.
We'll have to reach out definitely at some point, get him back on.
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
get him back on because he was awesome.
Yeah. No, he was cool. Like I loved hearing what he had to say. I also so the funny thing was I actually went to college with one of the guests you were talking about, and Robbie knows Matt Noonan because he and I both went to Wheaton, so I thought that was cool that you guys played him on, because knowing him in college, like he was a huge sports, like into sports broadcasting. This guy knew everything about sports too, and I just loved also like that his voice too. He had this like very confident kind of radio voice that I really appreciate about him.
Well, he's done. I mean, the funny thing is, he's done like radio shows like for years now. And I mean, he really enjoyed. No, Matt. I do have to say, because you brought up Matt Noonan, one of the funniest stories about Matt Noonan is that literally, I remember there was one random Friday afternoon, and Cal remembers the story, that I literally got on the commuter rail and came down to Wheaton, actually broadcast a Wheaton college softball game with Matt Noonan at the Wheaton softball field, like literally underneath this tent in left field. He and I were just broadcasting for, I think it was like the Norton local channel or whatever the case was. And so that I could say that in my life I have dabbled in the art of college sports broadcasting on one occasion for one game. So that was pretty wild.
That was cool, yeah. And like I was just so happy because like I'm glad you guys like kept in contact after all those years, and he was able to come onto your show, and that got me really excited when you told me. I'm like, what? You got Matt Noonan on? Yes, like
absolutely, man. You knew we had to. We're doing a sports show. Well, you got to have Noontime himself on. Matt Noonan. I mean, you got to. But Doug, I know you do have. I want to sort of turn the mic, so to speak, over to you for a little bit here, because I know you do have some guest related moments that you have written down, as you just so lovely showed us live on air here. So why don't you kind of take it away again with some of your moments, memories that you want to discuss here for, like I said, the 100th episode of the Sports Blitz.
Yeah, definitely. What I wanted to do was just I wrote down the episodes, and we're all talking about these guys. So I wanted to tell you that Jamie Rice's episode, that was episode number 44 of the Sports Blitz. So please take a look at those. Jamie, I guess I could start with Jamie because I haven't seen Jamie Rice for about, I don't know, it's probably over 30 years. So to actually be, and I know you've actually gone to some of the Babson games, and there were a few Babson games that you had, Babson hockey games, and you had asked me a few times, and there was a few times I just couldn't go because I was doing something or whatever, and I really wanted to go really badly, and I just couldn't go, and I really wanted to see Jamie, just to say hello to him because I haven't seen him in such a long time.
You may have some chances coming up here. So with
no, absolutely. But I'm just talking in the past.
No, I know.
I just hadn't seen him. So having him on and having him, first of all, talk about Rivers, which is great. And I guess for people that don't know out there, and imagine if you've seen our episodes, you know that we do a Rivers episode. That's kind of,
we've done several Rivers episodes.
We've done many Rivers episodes. And that's where Robbie and I met. And basically what Rivers is, Rivers Day Camp, and we went for a very long time. Where the Rivers Day Camp just closed recently, and we are trying to keep it alive by bringing people on to tell their stories. I think it's really important to keep Rivers Day Camp alive. It centered me when I was a kid. I started there when I was 10. So, it centered me as a kid, and it got me onto, a really nice plane and a good path and that kind of thing. Not that I was on a bad path, but it was one of those just things that Rivers is a great way to be able to not just make friends, lifelong friends, but to be able to go and have some really healthy competition. And to have Jamie on, and I hadn't seen him in such a long time, and for him to talk about some of the stories of Rivers, and then all of a sudden it morphed into, and we were going to morph it anyway, but all of a sudden we started talking about basketball hockey,
Yeah.
which is really freaking cool. It came out of the blue because this was going to be mostly a Rivers episode, as far as I'm concerned. I did have a couple hockey questions.
I had some Babson hockey questions going in. So I knew we were good. If you weren't, I was going to transform it into a little bit of Babson talk for sure.
I didn't know where it was going. I thought 98% of it was going to be Rivers, but I'm glad that it did morph into Babson hockey because it was really cool to listen to the behind the scenes, not just behind the scenes of Babson hockey, but how he talked to his players, what kind of coach he is, what kind of how does he coach, how does he deal with certain situations. Just incredible information. And again, it's episode number 44. You guys got to go watch this episode. This is really, really fun, watching the inside outs and listening to Jamie talk about the inside outs of college hockey, basically. And trying to figure out what's going on during the pandemic because it was so confusing right up front. We didn't know what the hell was going on. So, and he didn't either. So I was just kind of going by the seat of his pants.
It was literally, I mean, he was talking about, it was literally and like Doug said, we can obviously, sort of, talk about these specific memories and show specific moments, but like, I feel like it doesn't do it justice unless you actually like sit down, at least watch some of these guest episodes like in their entirety, so to speak, because just the flow of the conversation, I mean, it really, I was talking about right now and, showing clips and all that doesn't really do it justice if you don't really, you really got to sit down and watch some of these guest interviews because it really is some informative and really fun stuff. And you're right, literally, he was talking about it, basically it went day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour sort of thing, that sort of week leading up to like everything shutting down because there's just so much craziness and uncertainty. It was wild, like I was saying before, to hear him talking about it, in depth like that, and to like really get the behind the scenes look of it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and again, some of my favorite guests are the ones where we have on, but we don't really know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
We've got we may have some questions written down, and I'm always, I just prepare that way. That's just the way I prepared for a radio show at Emerson or whatever. But I just always was, I was always prepared, but there's always that one guest, always one, maybe two guests. There was actually two that I can think of that were also favorites of mine. And I know I had, and Robbie probably knows where I'm going with this.
Oh yeah,
I had a list of questions because we actually had Ed Schreider on to talk about Rivers. Ed Schreider, he's known me since I was 10. So it's one of those things where he's known me for a really long time. I've known his family for a long time. His wife worked with my mom in a nursery school setting. So it's one of those things where there's a lot of family connection there. So, and he went up in the ranks. He had been doing this 50 years and he went up into the ranks. He was a counselor, then he was an assistant, and then he was, it just went all the way up to director. And he was the last director of Rivers Day Camp. And with Ed, I kind of knew this of Ed, but it was so interesting because when we got on to the episode and we started recording and everything like that, I had like probably 10, maybe 12 questions to ask. All of a sudden I asked one question and Ed didn't stop talking. One question, and then I had the thing down like this so you couldn't see, and all of a sudden he answered that question. He just answered that question, like in my mind. I'm not saying this out loud, but he answered that one. Okay, we don't have to ask that one. He just answered that one all the way through my questions. He just started at the beginning of Rivers and went to the end of Rivers without us asking questions.
Wow.
Robbie and I were not prepared for that. We did not know he was going to do this.
No.
We didn't know he was reading. He had done research. He had pages and pages of information. It was unbelievable. And we just weren't prepared for it. But was it awesome? He told us stuff that we didn't even know.
Yeah.
I know a lot about Rivers and the beginning of Rivers, but he told us some really great stories about the beginning of Rivers that we had no idea, and I had no idea about.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It morphed itself, but you have to understand that's Ed. Ed is good. You ask him a question, he's just going to keep going. It was great.
Absolutely. No, it was
George also. George from Rivers also. Did basketball. He also pretty much did the same thing. You got to catch episode number 99. You got to watch because I think we asked him one question. That's keeps going, and then he changed topics, which is great. All of a sudden, he was talking about,
and then all of a sudden,
talking about Mac Jones.
When all of a sudden, he morphed, and then he morphed into a robot. On occasion, yeah. I mean, it was.
Yes, he did morph into a robot. Yes, but we were having some technical difficulties, but we powered through.
No, I know.
We've had
it was fun.
And that's
it was
something
fun.
we didn't talk about.
It added to it.
Right, and that's something we didn't talk about. Is we've had these technical difficulties, but we've been able to push through.
Yeah,
and be able to get through it. So the Ed one was episode number 75. So you gotta watch that because
by the way, what I'm gonna do, folks, I'm gonna put some links to these episodes in the description because
okay, perfect.
No, I'm gonna put links to it, particularly to our guest episodes in the description because you need to go back and watch these episodes like in full because like us talking about them, like I said, does not do justice. You need to like.
No, you need to go and see these.
You need to go and see these.
Having my brother on, and we talked about the NFL draft. And the first thing he said to me was, he said, Doug, I'll absolutely be on. I'd love to be on, but I don't know too much about the draft. I'm like, okay, whatever. We had a phenomenal conversation.
We did.
About the draft.
It was awesome.
It was unbelievable. To have that up front and to have, we did ask some questions here and there, but just talking about the NFL draft was unbelievable. It was awesome. And it's great. You gotta watch that too. And it was about stuff I don't know too much about the draft either. Do I watch it? Yeah, of course I do, but I don't know too much about it. And again, we're talking about Mac Jones, we're talking about this, talking about all kinds of stuff. It was awesome.
Doug, before you go on there is one, because I know you're probably going to bring it up, so I'm going to and I apologize, Vince. I'm going to kind of hijack possibly one of your
I always do, Robbie.
Here.
So go ahead.
There's one episode because you were talking about Rivers and Ed, and it really brought this to mind. And also, one of your comments just then sort of just triggered this. Is that we had an episode that actually may have been one of our most viewed Rivers episodes, and again, I will post a link to. I think Doug knows where I'm going with this. It was an episode where we literally had also our most guests in one episode.
I call it the Nav and Friends episode.
Yeah, literally, we had 6 guests. I think we had five.
Yeah, we had like 5 people on. Yeah,
at the same time. It was like an episode of the Brady Bunch. Watching it on Zoom, just like you got all these people in different boxes. Just it was, but. The one thing you were talking about how Ed brought up things that you had never heard you hadn't heard of before and stuff like that. And one of my favorite, and again I think you probably know where I'm going with this, one of my favorite memories from that episode is Dan Finucane going on for literally 10 minutes about Doug nearly getting into a full-on fight with a co-counselor on the streets of Boston at the computer museum and it was I
can't believe we remembered it.
What? I
I can't believe you remembered
I
that.
had never heard this story before up until that day, up until that moment. And like literally I could not stop laughing the entire
It was very funny.
freaking time. And by the way, when I think back to this particular co-counselor, who by the way was still a counselor back when I became a counselor. So, I mean, he was at Rivers for a long time. Good guy, but definitely, had some issues. So I guess I'm not fully surprised that he would go off the rails, unfortunately, on occasion. But yeah, that just listening to that and hearing that story, especially hearing Dan tell it. The funniest thing is Dan actually texted me after the fact, a little behind the scenes. Dan actually texted me after the fact and apologized for talking too much. I'm like, dude, you freaking made the episode. Dan, you made the episode. That was awesome.
Apologized.
Yeah, he literally texted me for apologizing for talking too much. I was like, Dan, you literally made. I literally told him, I was like, Dan, you made the episode. Like,
because two of them weren't even talking at all. I mean, we had to kind of pull stuff out, and then they were drinking a couple beers, and all of a sudden, without warning, two of them got up and went somewhere.
To the bathroom,
we think it was
episode, yeah.
Yeah, you got to see this episode. You got to check it out. It's very, very funny.
Absolutely, but I just want to kind of.
Yeah, no, it wasn't hijacked. No, it was great. That was great. I also loved, and you could tell. What I like is the fact that it's not like one guest. It's not like the guest episodes where everybody had something different that they wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
everybody. That's what I loved about it.
Everybody had their own thing, their own little.
Yeah,
niche.
absolutely. And again, I love Matt Noone. I just wanted him to talk for another hour on. He had been with the Red Sox as a hitting coach for like 19 years, and he's got stories. He went through the World Series. He went through those Yankee games. He was telling us.
All four, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I was like, oh,
he was telling us the story about them watching Miracle, in the locker room prior to the game. It was like that was stuff you can't get on just some news site right there. That was like behind the scenes, just like awesome material.
Yeah, so that was episode number 54, and everybody's got to see that episode. Anybody that loves baseball has to see that episode.
Also, you got to watch them.
Amazing.
Also, at the beginning of the episode, you go watch Doug and him put me on blast for my hitting. For my hitting, because like I said, I did take hitting lessons from Noonan. But hey, listen, I take pride in either being a home run or a strikeout batter. I mean, I was the Bobby Dahlbeck before there was Bobby Dahlbeck, man. Yeah, there you go.
It's all good. He said he did say
I took ownership of it. I was like, the first 2 minutes, I was not a great hitter. He said
you're doing it perfect now. You're actually more of an umpire now. You're behind the scenes.
Yeah. Listen. I just take pride in the fact that I can always say I was a better hitter than Kyle was, so it's all good. So.
Wow. That one. Wow, that one. I just saw that one go right through the screen and hit you right in the head, there, dude.
Oh, wow.
So, and you know what? The other thing I really liked about the guests that we had on was the fact that we actually talked about subjects that we had no idea, nothing. We knew nothing about, like
sports
totally
gambling,
like zero.
Sports gambling, nothing. Yeah,
like zero. So we had my friend Drew Good on, and he's from Colorado, and I worked with him at the time, and he is a sports gambler. So we actually had him on to talk about sports gambling, and we knew nothing about it. We said, Drew, tell us about it. How do you do it? What do you do? What is this? What are these terms that I'm always hearing about? But I don't know anything. What's better, DraftKings or whatever? What's your favorite? Tell us how you do it, and tell us how you. It was awesome. Awesome. Just a great episode. And again, we knew nothing about it. We went in knowing nothing. One of the other ones was David Ostrowsky. We talked about his book. He's got a book, sports book from the 90s. I think it's the mid 90s, I think. We talked about not just about his book, but about sports from a long time ago, from the 1990 to 1999. So it was pretty cool to talk about that stuff with him, and he's got that the book out, which is really, really cool. It was great talking to Mike Riley. I've always heard him on radio, and it was great to talk to somebody who's actually been on sports radio. And it was really just totally cool. I've heard him a lot and always wanted to meet him, and it was just a great experience. Just kind of talking.
And by the way, I do have to say quickly, shout out to Mike Riley, the PA announcer of the now I think it's called I forget exactly what it's called. They just won, but the New England Revolution, who literally are now like the top just set the record for most number of regular season points in like an MLS season. And Mike Riley is their PA announcer. So just wanted to give a little shout out to the Revolution since we were talking about them.
Absolutely. And of course, last but certainly not least at all, is I have loved the episodes with Kyle.
Yeah.
And the reason I love the episodes with Kyle is that we come on and we just meld together, very quickly. And we did when we first had him on the first show, and we've had him on several times after that. And it gives us a chance to not just really do anything about sports. We can do a game, we can do trivia, we can talk about something different, we can talk about movies, talk about soundtracks, talk about all kinds of different things. And again, just when it comes to special guests, he's just, and not because you're here, Kyle, but just because I'm being truthful.
We always talk shit about you behind your back when you're not here. I mean,
right.
We're just nice to you on air, it's all good.
Don't listen to Robbie right now because he's really does not know what he's talking about. We do not do that. But yes, I understand. I know it's a joke. But yeah, I just no. It's just I love the fact that we're able to move away from the sports and be able to talk about something that's totally different and have a fresh view and a fresh ear. And again, not just because Kyle was instrumental in making our show look amazing, but it's just having him be able to give his input on, and he has, and give us his input. Hey, we just did the show. Can you look at it, watch it, whatever, and check it out and see what we can do. It's just great having Kyle on, and Kyle, I actually have you in big letters here, so just wanted to make sure that you know that we really appreciate having you on. But again, those are pretty much, and again, not like special guests. Every guest is special. These are just the ones that I simply just remember.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. I echo everything you just said and talked about, Doug, times 1,000. Every guest we've had on has been really a really special part of the growth and evolution of this show, in their own way. And it has been just so much fun to really talk to these people and sort of get their insights on all these different aspects of the sports world and even the non-sports world. It really is just, it's been incredible. It's been an incredible run. It's been incredible 100 episodes. I cannot wait to I want to do 100 more. I'm serious. This show
right now.
Yes, we're gonna do episodes 101 versus 200 right now. All tonight. No, but
let's
also,
do it.
But they're all gonna star Kyle. 100 episodes of Kyle.
100 episodes of Kyle.
But no, in all seriousness, it has been just, there are no words to truly describe just how special this show has been, for these first 100 episodes, and to see it grow and to see it evolve is just something that I am extremely proud to be a part of. And just to see sort of things spin off of this show. Literally, this show gave birth to Marvel at the Movies. Just the fact that Kyle and Doug were able to sort of take, their experiences together on this show and create a show all of their own. Talking about, other passions of theirs, with movies and, video games and all TV shows and all that stuff that they talk about on Marvel at the Movies. Great show. You should definitely watch it. And, just to sort of see how this show kind of melded off of On a Couch Talking Sports, which Doug was a frequent guest on. It has been a frequent guest on. There's been sort of like this evolution of this show and of these shows, but there's also been the evolution of these shows off of one another. Again, it started with On a Couch, then we sort of transformed into the Sports Blitz for Doug and I, and then obviously Marvel at the Movies. So it's been a really nice sort of road that we have created for the three of us, really. And again, it is so fitting that Kyle is on, because he has been a tremendous, humongous part of this journey that we have had from the start to where we're at right now. And it is something that all three of us can be really proud of, that we have created and that we can continue to build on.
Hey, Kyle, I was wondering if you had any ice with you.
No.
Okay, because I was thinking that you may want to ice your head because you may not be able to fit out the door.
Yes. No,
I just kidding.
Kyle's ego is shot up like times like a billion tonight. So no.
You guys are very excited. Thank you.
Yeah, but you have to understand that when I text Kyle about Marvel and Movies, it's like instantly we're like, okay, let's do this. Great, let's do that. Great, let's do this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
Absolutely.
we're doing the episode. So and Robbie and I like that too. So I think it's also something that's interesting to me that I was thinking about, in the last few minutes, but thinking about before we started the episode, was it's also morphed our relationships too.
Yeah. It's
morphed our relationships between the three of us. It's morphed it to a totally different level. We started to go out, when we just did mini golf just recently too, and we started to go out and do things together, and because we could, because obviously, but it's one of those things where it really has morphed our relationship and all of our relationships into something that was greater than it was before, and I think that's important too.
It really, no, you're right. Sort of the trilogy of shows basically is what brought us. Kyle and I were sort of friends before we started On a Couch, obviously, but that's kind of, it has brought us all together because it has allowed us to sort of take our existing friendships with one another and really sort of bond them into things that, again, just the three of us really enjoy talking about. And the fact that the three of us, enjoy just spending this time together on a Thursday night or on a Wednesday night, or whenever, Tuesday night when you guys film Marvel at the Movies, just sitting down and just, if nothing else, just we're talking about stuff that we enjoy with two of our good friends. It really is what it comes down to. Folks, I'll take you a little bit behind the scenes here. You should have heard us, a lot of times, especially when, Kyle is on, we'll have these sort of pre-gaming sessions before we come on air. And it's some of the funniest stuff that you have ever heard. Some of it.
Lots of drinking involved. No, sorry.
Seriously. But no, it's just so much fun to sort of just shoot the breeze and just sort of talk about whatever comes up, and whatever. It is some really good stuff. And like I said, I felt the same way about On a Couch. I felt the same way, watching you guys at Marvel at the Movies, and the fact that we've sort of taken things that we've done on each, like Doug said before, things that we've taken on each show and sort of have brought them over to the other shows. A perfect example was, Doug and I played a game that Kyle and I played the game first that I thought of, that was like, when was the last time you did such and such, a few episodes ago. And then I kind of was like, took the idea to Doug. I was like, Doug, we should do this on our show. And we did, and we had a great time while doing it. And it was, and maybe you guys will adapt a movie version of Marvel at the Movies version of that particular game. Who knows? But it was just so much fun to kind of take ideas that we've had through the other shows and bring them on to this show or vice versa. And it just, like I said, it's just a really special thing that we've been able to accomplish. And I feel so lucky to be able to be a part of all of it. And it really is a lot of fun. So Kyle, I know, while we've been patting your ego, over there, I just wanted to, again, before we kind of transition into sort of our sort of final part of our episode here, I just wanted to see if you had any other thoughts on just, the evolution of this show, your time on this show, or you can even, sort of anything, sort of any thoughts on,
You could bust on Robbie.
Yeah, the evolution of On a Couch, of Marvel at the Movies, just any sort of thoughts that you had about sort of what we've been talking about here. Would love to hear from you.
So I will start that I am a much better hitter than Robbie, just on the record. But no.
You can't say that with a straight face. Like, that's the problem. It's true.
I don't know. I think one of the On a Couch episodes we're gonna do is to see who the better hitter is, and we'll have to find out.
Okay, fine. Bring it on, man. Bring it on.
Challenge. Here we go.
I'm watching that.
Challenge accepted. Yeah.
I'll even pitch. I'll pitch for that episode.
Hell yeah, we could do that. Yeah, let's do it.
yeah, but we all know Doug's gonna like b-ball me or something like that.
I won't. I'll make it fair. I'll underhand it to you.
Oh God. That's just what I need. I probably still wouldn't hit it. But anyway,
I'll throw a softball too. And the bigger the ball, the easier it is to hit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I got
beach ball.
Beach, one of those old Rivers volleyballs. Yeah.
Yeah, the old Rivers volleyball.
Yeah,
well, exactly. We played that ball. We played that.
We did. You just got bounced in there, and I'll just.
That's right. That's right.
The ball will go this way.
By the way, just wanna mention that really quick. Not as easy to hit that as everybody thinks.
No,
it's a bigger ball.
No, I agree.
Hitting a volleyball on the bounce is a very challenging thing.
Difficult.
Anyway, continue, Kyle.
No, but I think you guys said it well. I think you guys said it best. I mean, it's just been such a great experience. I just love also just to throw it to you guys. I love your guys just rapport. I love your guys the banter between you two. You guys really make the show work. You guys are the anchor that the show is, and I feel like the show wouldn't be anything without you two, especially. Like you guys.
I mean, literally, the show would not be without the two of us. But yeah, no, I get your point.
There are some other shows out there on YouTube that are called The Blitz. There's a Blitz show. There's a couple guys doing a sports show called The Blitz. So it makes sense. I know what Kyle's saying.
I know.
I'm just trusting. I'm just busting on you, Robbie.
Yeah, always.
But no, you guys are great. Like, I love how you guys keep it light and funny. Like, whenever you guys invite me on, I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm there. Like you don't even have to like. I feel like I don't think I've even ever canceled like anytime you guys like ask me like, oh, I'm too busy or whatever. Like whenever you guys like send me the invitation, I'm like, yep, done. So
he tries to, but we actually have a guy there that's in his room right now. He's at gunpoint. So it's one of those things.
No,
there's no guy with a gun.
There's no gun next to me.
Oh, by the way, I gotta wire this guy some money right now. Hold on.
Yeah, wire some money. How do you think we had our other guests on? Except Ed. Ed came willingly. So that was all good.
It's actually George. George plays our guest and our
heavy
bounty hunter.
Our bounty hunter, our heavy for the show.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the show.
No, don't mess with a man. But anything else you want to add, Kyle?
No, I mean, I think you guys said it best. Like, I just love being on here, and I am looking forward to the next however many episodes you guys decide to do. So, and I'm really excited. So I'm really excited to see where the show, goes in the future. So
Absolutely.
great job, guys.
Thank you. No, thank you, Colin. Like I said, it is always a pleasure and an honor having you on the Sports Blitz. And I mean, this will not be the last time you'll be seeing Kyle for sure. He's going to be a frequent contributor to this show, whether you all like it or not.
Unless George does an Alec Baldwin, I think we'll be all right.
Oh God! Oh no! Oh no! Now we're gonna get canceled. Doug has officially canceled us at 9:35 p.m. on Thursday, October 28th. We're officially gonna be canceled. So actually, you won't see any of us. God! We'll just cut this part out. It's okay.
It was a poor joke, but I threw it out there. It was a terrible situation, but it's a poor joke. But I don't know what came out.
No, rest in all seriousness. Rest in peace to the victims of that tragedy. In all seriousness, yeah. But going to a brighter note here quickly, we are going to sort of transition on here to a staple of the show that has been part of the show for I think all 100 episodes, and it is something that definitely stays with the episode. Yes, exactly. This is my stapler.
He's a staple of the show, so I'm just giving you a little,
thank you,
little background noise.
And that is our final thoughts for this episode number 100, and we can take this as we always do with our final thoughts any way that we want to go. And as we always do with our special guest episodes, we will start our final thoughts. Again, Kyle, this could be about anything, movies, sports, whatever. Just give us, I know I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here, but as a frequent guest, you should be used to this by now. What is your final thought for the evening?
Okay, this is really random because I literally, so this will be like literally the most specifically random thing that you could ever think of, but and I'll probably maybe elaborate more on this when we do On a Couch and or even marvel at the movies as well. But I wanted to talk about this. So the movie Halloween Kills I just saw in theaters, right, with my friend Craig, who you guys know.
Yeah, absolutely, great guy. Oh, we got to get Doug. Future guest, I'm calling right now. We gotta get Craig on episode of the Sports Blitz.
Okay. Fine with me. I'm looking forward to that.
Anyway, Cal, continue. Sorry.
No. And I was just kind of just a little bit of a rant and how basically unnecessary that movie was. Craig and I were watching it, and
is this the one where Jamie Lee Curtis comes back?
Yeah, it's sort of like the second or third alternate timeline reboot, quill, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is back, and she's fighting Michael Myers again for like the umpteenth time and stuff like that. And we had seen, I had seen the 2018 version, which is essentially Halloween 2. It's confusing. I'm so sorry for people who don't understand the Halloween timeline. I barely can follow that myself either, but
good. It's Halloween number 42,575.
Yeah, pretty much. And
we talked about that on Marvel at the Movies too.
Yes. Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Well, we talked about like Friday the 13th, but we can elaborate more.
We talked about that stuff too.
Yeah. So this movie series, I was very intrigued because it started off really well. The 2018 version, which was a follow-up to the original Halloween movie, was, I thought, a pretty solid follow-up. I was actually surprised. That movie had better than it had any right to be. Like, I actually enjoyed myself watching that movie. I was like, okay, you're rooting for Jamie Lee Curtis. They gave you a powerful female lead. This movie was just such a confusing mess. I just was watching it with Craig, and we were just looking at each other the whole time, and we're like, what is the point of this movie? Like, I just don't like it when movie franchises stretch out like way too long, and like they had something really good going, and we kind of came into this movie thinking, okay, this could be just as good as the other movie, and it just wasn't. It just felt like this unnecessary middle chapter. And, you know, if you tell a story, tell it naturally, guys. Don't just throw in a random middle chapter that goes nowhere. Didn't even have a main character, to be honest. Jamie Lee Curtis, despite what the trailers show, was shoved off to the side for the whole movie. Like, she was just in a hospital bed for the whole movie. Like, it's just, come on. Like, this movie, to me, just didn't really have any reason to exist. If you're going to make a several part Halloween movie, like, just let the story flow naturally. Maybe you should have just made it a two-parter instead of a planned trilogy like they were doing. But anyways, that's just my spiel about it. So that's my final thought about just stretching movies longer than they need to be. So yeah.
Very good, Kyle. Very random, but surprisingly not the most random thing we've heard on the show, and probably not the most random thing you've ever said. So I could dig it. And by the way, happy Halloween, everybody. I know that's coming up this weekend, so happy Halloween to all you watching out there in advance. Doug, it is now your time to shine with your final thought for episode number 100. So for the 100th time, Doug, let me throw it to you for your final thought of the evening.
All right. So my final thought is that I feel very nostalgic on this 100th episode of the Sports Blitz. First, I want to thank Kyle for coming on as usual. Just you know, the first guest and of course the as far as I'm concerned, the best guest that we've had. I shouldn't say best, but it's always a memorable experience when Kyle comes on. So that's always good. And and I want to thank all of our other guests. I want to thank our guests, everybody that came on. I'm not going to name everybody because it's crazy. It's just way too.
Don't worry.
We've already named most of them. So.
Guest appearances, like I said, will be in the description.
Yeah.
So people can go and really watch the episodes that they've been on.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's got to go and watch these episodes because they're just phenomenal. All the guests we have been great. And we look forward to the future to having either those guests on again or to have obviously new guests. What I'm looking forward to is what the future is for all of our shows. But since we're talking about this show in particular, I look forward to seeing what we can do. What's the next chapter?
Yeah.
What's the next 50 episodes? What's the next 100 episodes going to be like? And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And I also want to thank Robbie also for being a great co-host. It's like we're stopping the show or something. We really did.
I know, literally the entire time that I've been going, I like, is this 100 episodes? Or is this like the last episode of the series? Like, what am I doing?
I don't know.
That's why I've had to like 4 different times like promise with this. Folks, we are going to continue the show. We're not.
Yes. No. I'm just what I'm doing.
I'm saying for myself.
Like saying we're gone. We're out of here.
I'm saying it for myself. I mean, like I'm sounding. Yeah.
No, it's just again. I think what it is that it's almost like a birthday. It's the 100th birthday.
We're nostalgic. It's nostalgia. Exactly. It really is. It really is.
Absolutely. So. What I'm actually saying is that I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next 100 episodes can be like and what kind of guests we can have on, what kind of topics we're going to discuss. What the future is going to be like is going to be phenomenal, and it's going to be really great, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And so my final thought, first of all, I want to absolutely thank Kyle for coming on. Like I said, I mean, there was no other guest that I would have wanted on our 100th episode than Kyle. And I always appreciate him coming on. And like you said, Doug, I'm also very appreciative of you, being my co-host for this show. I know, shed a tear. Being my co-host for this show, and just all the fun we've had over this first 100 episodes, and all the fun that we will continue to have as we go forward. But I do have a final thought about something that I just read about today, and I actually texted Doug about this right after I read about it. And I mean, this is by the way, folks, this is the time this is the time I'm going to get canceled, so it's okay. So
no, you're going to have a certain group call you and speak to you, but other than that, you'll probably. So all
right, so here we go. So the good old group PETA has
Not talking about PITA. We're talking about
PETA. Yep,
Right.
exactly. Which stands for the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. Has requested that MLB, Major League Baseball, change the name of the area where the pitchers warm up from the bullpen to the arm barn. And Kyle, I literally had Kyle, I love the reaction because it's literally the exact same reaction I had as like, I laughed. I literally laughed out loud when I read this. This is how ridiculous that we have gotten to the point where literally we want to change the bullpen to the arm barn. I mean, that's it. That's the thought, is that this is absolutely ridiculous. It's hysterically ridiculous. And I don't care if PETA emails me letters or wants to cancel me. It is craziness. We have reached the epitome of crazy train with this story right here. In fact, Doug, I think I texted to your exact response was one in all capital letters with like 4 exclamation points.
I can't remember what I said. What
you said really 3 question marks. Oh my, 2 exclamation points, and then you said unbelievable as well with like 2 exclamation points. So
that was actually me being clean and nice about this whole thing.
Yeah,
but
it's ridiculous. It's just I'll say it right here, it is ridiculous. PETA needs to. I mean, hey, listen, I have a lot of respect for PETA and some of the work that they do. You know, I mean, hey, listen, they are. You know, they do a lot of good work. I am not trying to take anything away from PETA, but this is not it, PETA. This is not it. This is not the hill to be.
Are they calling the baseball players bulls or animals? Is that what? I don't understand how is it? Where are their animals involved? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. But the arm barn, really? With the arm barn, like
are they after the Bulls now? I mean, are the Chicago Bulls?
I don't know.
Or the
hey,
Bulls
listen. I'll tell you this. You know what it is? It's a load of bullshit, is what it is. But yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, we're definitely done
that. Hey, we've already gone down that road. I mean, might as well just go for it.
Oh, thank you very much for watching us, guys. We'll be back. Never.
Yeah, we won't have an episode number 101, but
episode 101 will be cast out by YouTube.
Our episode 101 will be our public apology for this episode.
No, excuse me. It'll be your public apology.
Hey, excuse me, Mr. Alec Baldwin. Yeah.
I'm just talking about the news, baby. Just talking about the news.
But
it's all crazy. That's why I don't watch the news.
I just think it's just ridiculous, and that's all I have to say on the matter. And
now, Robbie, can I ask you one last question? Is it worse than having? Is it worse than having? Is it worse?
I know where you're going with this. And this is a stupid comparison. First of all, I know where you're going. Hey, listen, I'm so happy that they did away with the rule. Yeah, I was laughing in a disgusting way when I heard this news. I was laughing in a hallelujah way when I heard a few weeks ago that they were doing away finally with that godforsaken rule of having a runner at second base, not just for the playoffs, but permanently. Goodbye and good riddance. If you think that rule is dumb, you deserve to be shot out of a cannon into the net, into wherever, Botswana, somewhere.
MLB today said that they don't want to have somebody on second base. They want to have somebody in between third base and home. Starting the 10th inning. That's what they want.
They're just going to start with bases loaded with a 3-2 count and have the pitcher throw an intentional ball, basically is what they're going to do from down here on out. It is, and people are defending it. The fact, I know we're closing up the episode.
Go ahead, Robbie. We love this. This is awesome.
The fact that people defend this freaking rule just drives me absolutely insane. So those same people, I want to ask them. So you'd be okay? Let's put on our hypothetical hats here for a minute. You would be okay with last game of the season. Your team, it was let's admission it was the Red Sox Nationals last game of the season. Game that literally is deciding a team's playoff lives. You would be okay. Bottom of the 10th inning, Nationals get to put a runner at second base, and first pitch they get a base hit win the game, and thus the Red Sox are knocked out of the playoffs by a runner that did not earn their way onto base in that inning. You're telling me that you folks that are defending this rule would be okay with that? You're foolish. You're foolish if you're telling me you're going to believe that. And by the way, it doesn't speed up the game, because guess what? If both teams score, you're still going to go multiple extra innings and go 4 hours long. If the game's 3+ hours before that, it makes no difference whatsoever. It's just stupid. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm done ranting about it and about PETA and them trying to change the name of the bullpen to the Arm Barn, because it just but yeah, that's my final thought, everybody.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I can even get through this closing right now. But anyway, no, it's good. I'm good. All good. But hey, listen, folks. In all seriousness, thank you everybody for tuning in to our 100th episode. And thank you for everybody that's tuning in, whether you are just tuning in for episode number 100 or if you've been with us since episode number 1. We really appreciate you, all our viewers and subscribers throughout the years. We want to again say a very, very special thank you to Kyle for coming on and joining us for our episode tonight. Much, much appreciated. Can't wait to have you back on in the future. Thank you to our sponsor, Zimon Organizing. Absolutely. Can't wait to continue to work with them. Link in the description. Link in the description. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, checks got clear, man.
Hey, you're gonna give me a check or what? Oh, sorry.
But as I was saying, again, just thank you everybody for tuning in. And by the way, again, we are on YouTube. We are on SoundCloud. We are on Facebook. We are on
what?
Twitter.
What was that second one?
We're on Twitter. Shut up. We are all over the place. And hey, folks, if there's something that you want to see on our episodes going forward, again, please feel free to drop us a comment, drop us a like, drop us a subscription.
Can I comment about
Tell
SoundCloud?
your friends, ring the bell. No, you may not. Because I'm already up here. You don't want me to go much further. Anyway. But no, in all seriousness, folks, thank you so much for tuning in as I literally lose my co-host to just a fit of laughter to end up the episode. Hey, what more fitting way to end off the 100th episode than with laughter? Because it's just a barrel of laughs on this show.
Always is, man. It always is.
Always is, always will be. So for Kyle and for Doug, again, I want to thank everybody for joining us for episode number 100, and we will see you for episode number 101. Count on it. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, people.